Good. Well, nice to be with you again. I thought maybe we'd start our gathering today with a prayer and a little meditation, and then go into our events. Huh? So let's put our attention within. And as we pray and meditate, there is no distance between us. So it is as if we're all sitting together and offering our prayers, our devotion, our intensity in meditation, our efforts at concentration. It's as if we're all working together and in the same space. So let's feel that. Let's feel that it's a group meditation. It's not each of us sitting in our respective places, but that we're together, that we feel each other's vibration, that we offer our group efforts at the feet of our Guru, at the feet of Divine Mother. So you can pray along with me. Heavenly Father, Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Bhagavan Krishna, Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswar, and our Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. Saints of all religions, we bow to you all. Divine Mother, beloved Master, as we go through our daily challenges, as we meet the responsibilities that are placed in front of us, let us ever increasingly feel that thou art with us, guiding us, protecting us, and loving us as we make our way back to thy holy feet. Bless each one of us. May we feel your presence in an ever greater way. Om. Peace. Amen. Let's now meditate for a few moments. Let's feel the presence of Divine Mother and Master. Concentrate the mind. Practice Hong Saw. As you quiet down, then turn your thoughts and your attention and your devotion at the feet of God, at the feet of Divine Mother. Try to feel their presence within. Om. Peace. Amen. Nice to see you all. As I say, you've survived Convocation Week. We've received a number of, thanks from people. Usually go to Brother Jayananda, and he's to meet with us soon. So I'm sure he'll read some of the things that people have sent in. It was certainly a different Convocation Week for all of us here. I remember from my earliest years, Convocation Week was, kind of running around with your hair on fire for a week, as was everyone else. Just so much to do and so much. But this year it was very, we knew that the classes were going on. Many of them had been recorded beforehand. I had done mine beforehand. And I went into Convocation for the first time in a long time without my stomach in knots, thinking I've got a big talk coming up and oh my gosh, am I going to survive it? So it was different. But on the other hand, we'll have to see how things go into the future. I was talking with Brother Jayananda and I was saying, well, have we finalized anything for the future as far as Convocation? And he said no, but I think SRF learned a lot the last couple of years when we went digital with much of the Convocation. We're reaching far more people, and people from places that never would have an opportunity to come to Los Angeles and participate in a Convocation. My guess is that we'll have some sort of hybrid between having a gathering in Los Angeles and also broadcasting it throughout the world. So we'll have to see, but I think these last 2 years, they proved what could be done. And we've developed, we got used to it here, that we could, work with the technology and have the classes and have a recording studio here on the site where these things can happen. And the monks have learned a lot about shooting classes and how many cameras and all of the technical stuff that's involved. So yeah, for heaven's sakes, we have tens of thousands of people who participate, whereas before at the hotel we'd have 3,000 to 4,000. If we had 4,200, that was a big crowd. So we've probably extended that tenfold. So it really has become a world convocation, and we can feel it. Although it's not as busy here, we can feel it during the week. It's a special week. And I think whenever you have devotees tuning in from all over the world, meditating at the same time, concentrating and hearing classes, and you just get everybody almost pointed in the same direction. And there's a real vibration that you can feel. And it was certainly felt here. So we had a work party a few weeks ago. We have a week from tomorrow. It's going to be our second work party at the new temple. And I was up there the first one, of course, and as were many of you. We had a wonderful day. I think there's almost 60 people who showed up, which was more than we thought. And got a lot of work done. And my overall impression of the day, though, was it was a day filled with joy. It wasn't, everyone was happy to be back at the temple, and there was a blessing in participating in little work parties. And we had a very nice time. We sat out underneath the trees in the side yard and had our lunch and a little satsang, and very fun. So we'll do that again in another week. And we are about a month away from our scheduled first Sunday service there in Walnut Creek at the Bay Area Temple. That's going to be Sunday, September 26th, Lahiri Mahashai's Mahasamadhi Day, I believe. And So we look forward to that, and we plan to do that. You know, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say in the South. Meaning, if this stupid pandemic stops being a problem to everybody, we are going to follow whatever guidance will be in Contra Costa County. So that's why we can't say for sure everything is going to just roll smoothly. We don't know, but this is the day we're shooting for. And anything else? Yes, we have some slides we could show for those people who haven't been by the temple. Work is getting done, and slowly, little projects that we started on are being finished, and we're moving to the next thing. And so it's exciting. Every time I'm up there, which is, I'm trying to get up there twice a month, I see definite changes in what we're able to do. I think more though, I see just the beautification of the grounds. When I was last up a couple of weeks ago, the crepe myrtles were in full bloom, and plants are happy around the temple, and it really is it's a stunning garden, a stunning area, and just adds to the overall beauty. So we've got a nice place that we can use for many years, and it will continue to flower and you know, just be more and more inviting as the years go on. So, but we're getting glimpses of it now, and it certainly is a beautiful location and just a beautiful piece of property. So maybe let's switch to John Carlo took some pictures for us, and we'll go through them and just give you a little update on things there at the temple. In the foyer, these ceilings, they were open boards that we painted. They were dark brown when we got there, but very uneven. You know, there were big gaps between some and no gaps between the others. And we thought it would be better to finish them off so the foyer is a little bit more finished. So that's what the ceiling is. That big board there is to hold the drywall up so that it can be put into place. So just foyer work here. Over in the flower room, which is over in that building in the back corner. That building in the back corner of the property was the original church. It was probably built in 1940. It was on a different location on the property. And from what I understand, they moved it when before they started building the chapel that we now have. So one of the rooms off of this building, which faces the book room in the background, you see the book room wall there. It's a nice room for a flower room. It's got a sink in there, room for refrigerators, plenty of room to, you know, make flower arrangements and things like that. So, but it needed a painting. So the devotees were in there painting away. There they are outside painting the doors and the drawers. And the big work party. Can't recognize anybody in masks, can you? Oh, there we go. This is the team of painters inside. They were all dark wood, dark paint, and painting them white just made the room look so much cleaner. Very good. And we've got Chris Cardinal up there on as you can see, this is in the chapel there, blowing off the beams, and I guess it's a vacuum or yeah, probably a vacuum that he's using. And these are glass plates, of course, that where his feet are, he's not standing on them, but over the wall there and to the ceiling, the roof ceiling that goes up. These are glass panels in there, and they bring light into the temple, ambient light. So this is Paul Jaraki, and he's not unrecognizable because of a mask, but because of a hat. We don't usually see Paul in a hat, but there he is. He painted all of these pillars there, which were, the unfinished aluminum. We got a paint to match the roof color. And then Paul primed them all and painted them. Very nice. Here we go. This was our day of service and fellowship last month, July. The last Saturday in July. And we put the chairs out underneath the trees there on the side yard. It was very comfortable. We had kind of a warm day, but the breeze was coming through there and the shade was nice, and very nice place to gather. Some of the work party, people working in different places. Here we are on the left side. That's one of the rooms back behind the altar. I believe so. Yes. Facing the altar, that's probably the room on the left. And the middle section is this is the room by the Sunday school, the front part of the Sunday school. Am I right? It must be, yes. And I think this room here we'll put a big table in there. That's where we use to have meetings. Just like we'd pull out a table upstairs at Berkeley and sit around it with 10 or 12 chairs. Well, this room here we'll use as a meeting room with a permanent table in there. And the far right, we've got the other side of the rooms back behind the altar. So facing the altar, this will be the room on the right. This will be the minister's room. That's where I'll come in and sweat blood before I have to walk out and talk to everybody. There's an outdoor, there's a door exit there that I can come in the back and magically appear when the time is right. Okay, here we are. We scrubbed down or some of the devotees there scrubbed down the walls inside, not with a sudsy material, but just with like vinegar and water, I believe, and made a very big difference in my mind. When you walked in there, it just felt like the stones were clean. Probably hadn't been done in, since it was built in the 1960-ish. So we had a couple of people scrubbing the walls, and then one person was on a wet vac underneath, taking up all of the water that was coming down. So it ended up being a very good process for cleaning the walls. Up top, we had a group who cleaned up in the balcony area. That's our organ. We don't know what we're going to do with it. I can't see us. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's there, and it'll be there until something is decided. And I guess we'll play it from time to time. But I can't imagine me going up there and playing Jai Guru at appropriate intervals. We'll have to see. It is impressive, though. Here we are outside. We had a little meditation outside and a satsang too. That the new building you can see in this last picture here, if you go back one, this is the roof just looks. I was there when it was going on, and I saw I was looking so often at the old roof that was up there. This is such an improvement. It really is. It adds architecturally to the building and just makes the building so charming looking. This is from the parking lot. You'd see this view here. Okay. There are the people who participated, some of them sitting around, and there was a feeling of people were very happy to be together again. and just to see old faces. And as I say, the overwhelming feeling at the end of the day was one of joy. We put a temple sign up. You know, we had two signs at Berkeley. This one hung over the door of Berkeley on Shattuck. So it's just up in that small section of the wall. Was not that wide there, but it fit above the door. And frankly, the signs they're really nice looking at them. And we didn't want to just put them in storage and never use them again. Is there any place we can hang them? Well, we thought of hanging it here on the, this is the stone wall that goes out. You walk, this is Martin there holding onto one end of it, and David Strain on the other. We're trying to get we're holding it up and standing back and saying, you know, how high, how low, but it was hung. David Strain put some bolts into the wall there. We put this up. It's very understated in a way, but in my mind, very elegant. Here it is as you approach the temple from the parking lot. It'll just be, it's just, I don't know, it's nicely SRF in my opinion. And again, you know, finding a place for these things. I didn't want them just to be stored away and then tossed. They were just too nice a signs to do anything with. We have one more sign that is it's a horizontal sign. This went along the side of the building up top in Berkeley. Blue sign, Self-Realization Fellowship. How long? It was 25 feet long and 3 feet wide. It's just again, beautiful. It's a nice shape that it's cut in, blue and gold. And we're going to hang that on the end of the social building, the social hall. It's the side that faces the street. It's wooden right now. It's painted kind of a darkish green. It needs to be painted because the paint is peeling. And so we thought of painting it white and putting this other sign up there, just so it just identifies the property as ours. And that's a project that will happen soon. I don't think it'll be done by next work party, but it'll certainly be done by the time we open. And then of course we have a sign happening for the front, in the front there. They had the Lutheran sign out by the street, which runs perpendicular to the street, right out by the sidewalk. It's built in a nice, it's got a rock foundation and steel poles that came up that held the Lutheran sign. We're getting the sign made at Lake Shrine. They have a CNC machine, which is a computer-driven machine that cuts wood, you know, to certain specifications. And they've made different signs through the years for different places, but they're making ours there. It'll be, again, blue and gold. It'll be Self-Realization Fellowship, founded by Paramahansa Yoga in 1920. And Bay Area Temple, and probably all welcome on the bottom. Just a very simple sign, but it'll, at least when people are zipping by on the street, they'll be able to see it and they'll see that it's us. So that'll be a little further down the line. But with these two signs up, at least we're identified then as SRF. Oh yeah. Some of the blooms there around the temple, yeah. Yes, there's one on the left. You can see these pink flowers. It looks very, very nice. The gardens are really spectacular. Yes. So most of you have seen that. If you went to the last work party, you probably are pretty aware of these things, but things are moving along, and we'll keep you informed as other big events happen. And what else? Well, someone was saying I should continue reading letters from India. And I did bring my book with me. And we can always do that. So we last few times together, we read from this book of notes that I have. These were letters that Daya Mata had written back from India, 1958. She went there. She had been president only 3 years, I guess. Rajasi to 1958 at 55. And then Daya Mata from 55 to 58. She always said that when before Master passed, he looked at her and he said, "Promise me that you'll take care of India the same way you take care of SRF, YSS. Take care of YSS the same way you're taking care of SRF." And she promised him at that point. So she always felt like she had to put some time and energy into India, even though she had so much on her plate. One of the remarkable things about Daya Mata, that even though she was as busy as she was and as overwhelmed as she must have been, she still had the ability to balance her life in a way that she attended to her most important things and promises and accomplished so much because of it. But one of them was India, because Master was there, of course, in 1935. Well, 1958, that's 23 years ago, 23 years before that, that Master was there. And so they hadn't really gotten a visit from America in those years. Many of the board members there had come over to SRF in Los Angeles, had met Daya Mata. But as far as going there and seeing the ashrams and helping them there, Ma had not gone, or no president had gone. So she felt it almost a duty to do so. It was a different time. 1958 was a time of, well, even here in America, you think of 1958, it was just a different age. And India was the same way. It was a different place. It was, and I think Daya Mata really tuned into what India was. She had a very deep reverence for India. Firstly, as the home of our Guru, but also because it was so close to her heart and to the ideal life that Master explained. So let me just start reading where we left off, and I kind of looked through it. There's a couple of nice places here, including a section that Ananda Mata wrote, which I'd never read anything that Ananda Mata wrote, but she was describing a children's celebration that they had in Calcutta that Daya Mata was invited to. And so Daya Mata, being the guest of honor, Ananda Mata was able to observe. So we'll get to that. So this is November 1958. And Ma said, this morning was spent in Calcutta shopping. We shopped in a sari shop just to see the various kinds of cloth. Oh my, what magnificent pieces. Now, again, one other thing I wanted to remind is that when we read these things from Daya Mata, yes, it's interesting and it's a travel diary, and we can look at it as just an observational piece that we can learn some things through. But there's much more. When you read something of a saint, when you walk in her footsteps, when you see through her eyes, there's a little bit of darshan that happens, a blessing of a saint, because we start, we feel a closeness to the author. We feel a closeness, in this case, to Daya Mata. and it subtly changes our vibration. At least I find it does. So that's why we read it. We read it to walk in the footsteps of Daya Mata, to walk with her, and to certainly enjoy what she saw and what she writes about, but mostly just to be in her presence. So back at the sari shop, not the SORRY shop, it's the SARI shop. You know that. Silken saris of blue and gold, red and gold, white and gold, iridescent silks and hues that dazzle the eye. No wonder Alexander, Marco Polo, Columbus, and many others sought eastern shores where such gorgeous cloth is made. Nylon is also used now, but it is of such a fine quality that it is like gossamer wings and covered with small rhinestones or woven through with pure fine gold. Returning home, we drive to the Ananda Mata, where we will talk and meditate with the monks. What a spirit of devotion they have. He's talking about one of the monks, one of the old monks no longer living. And she said, the tears I have seen fill his eyes each time we speak of our adored Guru. It's another slight Swami who daily performs the puja. He is increasing his knowledge by studying Sanskrit and philosophy in Sanskrit in the university here. He's talking about the different monks and explaining them. This evening, I speak to them again about Master and tell them about his samadhi in 1948 and of his love for Divine Mother, of his training of us through example and love and kindness. As I talk, I see tears silently stealing down their cheeks. The soil of their hearts is already plowed with devotion. The seeds of our words of love for Mother and Guru fall on fertile soil. Returning from the ashram later in the night, we come down Jayananda Road, so named after our holy master. What a thrill runs through our hearts as the Bengali sign bearing this name is pointed out to us. Jayananda Road is a branch off the main road that leads to the Kali temple. And we take that branch road on our way to our own Ananda Mata. This is but the first, I am sure, of numerous places that will be named after our divine Guru in the years to come. And indeed, that's true. We have there's a Yogananda lane in Ranchi, and Bombay, I think, has some roads named after Master. It's more and more common. So then she goes, 1958, many of Master's relatives were still alive. Master had passed in 1952. This is only 6 years after his passing. So she talks about this. In the evening, towards 6 o'clock, we were driven to Prabhasta's house, Prabhasta Ghosh. He has invited dozens of Master's relatives and friends whom we have not yet met to his home to meet us. We drive across Calcutta, past busy streets to a quiet section where the streets are wider and their homes are large and well kept. As we pull up in front of the red stone house, Prabhasta and his brother, Dr. Prakash, greet us. We are then ushered into the house where some of the family have already gathered. Prabhasta is eager to have us see his little chapel or shrine where daily puja is performed. Up narrow winding stairs, we climb to the second floor, a slight turn, and we stand to the entrance of this shrine. Here he has a little altar, utensils for puja worship, and an incense holder, as well as the brass water bowl that holds the holy water. We touch the ground with our foreheads while kneeling low, as is the custom. Then look about the shrine walls where hang photos of our blessed Guru and Param Gurus. Each picture is adorned with a fresh, fragrant garland of white tuberoses. They get toured through the rest of the house. Entering the next room, we seat ourselves on small rugs or asans and are served numerous dishes: curries, chutneys, rotis, chapatis, papadum, potato patties with a curried filling, and several kinds of sweetmeats, including rasgullas, sandesh, and other kinds that are out of this world. How we are fed wherever we go. We doubt if we will be able to wear the Western clothes we brought with us by the time we depart from these shores. And yet our hostesses are often concerned because we do not eat more. It is the custom here for guests to be served first, while all the members of the family hover about us, watching us eat, filling our plates again, and in general, just sitting by while we dine. It is a bit disconcerting to be eating alone in the group, yet we try to forget our Western customs in order to become one with these dear, dear people. We try too to keep our, that night we meet many of Master's family members. Roma's eldest son, Tammuz, and Uma's sons, Vishnu's daughter, Abu, who so strongly resembles our own Master. She was but a small girl when Master visited India in 1935, and her ability to mimic Master was a source of great delight to him and to all. He too was amazed to see how strongly she resembled him, and it is our thought that she more closely resembles Master than any other member of the family. Her profile is almost identical to his. She is a bright, spirited girl with a lovely singing voice. After we are served our food, we are invited to rest in Prabhasta's room, while the men members of the family have their food, after which the women members will eat, then the servants. Our hosts, having finished their meal, they join us and someone brings in a harmonium. One of them is asked to chant in Bengali, which he does quite well. And then one of the monks leads the chanting while we meditate. Later, the sons of Uma entertain us with their musical talent and wit, which delight all present. How the time flies. It is now 11:30, time to part company with these lovely, lovely people, so gracious and kind to us. Bidding namaskar, goodbye, we depart. Okay, next day, November 16, 1958. Today we are going to the birthplace of Sri Ram Prasad in Halasahar, about 40 miles from Calcutta. Ram Prasad, as many of you know, is the writer of more than 2,500 songs and poems to Divine Mother. He was born in 1718 and spent his life in writing and in composing songs of love to the Mother. A story is told about Ram Prasad that is well loved here. When he was a very young man, he obtained a post as a copyist with the manager of an estate. But he found office work irksome, and he filled his books with scribbled verse. One day, his employer sent for him and asked to see the account books that Ram Prasad was supposed to be keeping. The employer was angry because he had received unfavorable reports about Ram Prasad's work. But when he read in those books, not figures, but the words, "I do not want this copyist's work. Give me your treasuryship, Mother," either the employer's sense of humor or his piety overcame his annoyance. He became a generous friend and patron of Ram Prasad, settling a pension on the poet and introducing him to the Krishnagar court. Here, Ram Prasad rose in favor and became known as the entertainer of poets. As you know, in SRF centers, we sing some of his chants, the most loved being, "Will that day come to me, Ma, when saying, Mother dear, my eyes will flow tears. 1,000 Vedas do declare, divine mothers everywhere." His songs are famous throughout Bengal, and we are on our way to the village of Halsahar to visit the house where he lived. It is now a shrine containing a beautiful image of the goddess Kali. As we drive down the highway, scattered over with Brahmin cows, bullock carts, men, women, and children clothed with less than the minimum cloth, we come to a large pond filled with beautiful purple hyacinths, and there in the midst of them are huge black water buffaloes having a leisurely bath. What a quaint picture. Along the roadside, men squat in that peculiar fashion common in the Orient, having their hair cut by the street barbers or getting a shave, their faces covered with lather. Soon the barbers will pour water over their heads and faces, giving the final touch to this roadside barbershop scene. Later on, we pass through Ikapur, a village where Master's family had a country estate. Here in the family home near the Ganges, Master was healed of Asiatic cholera in 1901, when his beloved mother told him to gaze at the picture of her guru, Lahiri Mahashai, which hung on the wall above his head. As he gazed at the photograph, he saw there a blinding light enveloping his body and the entire room. Master was healed instantaneously. We drive down a little dirt road and get out to walk along the path where Master used to walk. The house no longer stands, nor are we certain of the exact spot where it once was. But we do not concern ourselves too much, for we know we are treading on ground that our Guru's feet have trod. Driving a few miles farther to Halsahar, we reach the home of Ram Prasad. We alight and enter a large room, plain except for a beautiful image of the Mother Kali, standing on an altar centered in the back of the room. As soon as my forehead touched the floor in silent prayer to the Mother, whose image is before me, a profound yearning for Divine Mother welled up within me. My body shook with disconsolate sobs that could not be controlled. Long I wept, inwardly praying to the Mother to ease my soul's hunger, until at last spent, I felt a deep peace softly envelop me, and I sat quietly drinking from that fount within. After a time, a gentle tap on the shoulder reminded me that the shrine was about to be closed and that I must depart. Reluctantly, I rose to leave. An aged woman sadhu, eyes ablaze with the divine light, placed between my eyes a vermilion mark, symbol of the third eye that is in each one of us. I longed to remain there for a while longer and drink devotion's nectar. Leaving the home of Ram Prasad, we visit the ashram of a very great Swami who entered Mahasamadhi about 23 years ago while sitting in the lotus posture. The beautiful ashram is situated on the bank of the Ganges. The secretary of the ashram very kindly showed us the shrine, wherein is a beautiful life-size marble statue of their guru meditating in the lotus pose. We also saw the room where he had lived, where the things he used are so tenderly and carefully kept just as he left them. The location of this ashram is ideal. A carpet of green grass runs from the ashram itself down the gentle slope to the Ganges. What an inspiring view of this holy river. As we stand gazing out over its water, we see a small rowboat towing two huge haystacks downstream on barges. Only in India have we seen such fascinating sights as this. We close our eyes, hoping to lock these scenes forever in the vault of our memory. For this is the India we love, with its simple living and lofty ideals, as embodied in great devotees like our own blessed Guru and Param Gurus and Ram Prasad. Returning, we drive alongside the Ganges until we come to a small Shiva temple. A pleasant spot below the shrine is just waiting to be used as a picnic ground. We stand in silent wonder as we see an Indian woman, hands touching her forehead in gesture of pranam, sitting in the water meditating. Across the river, sweetly caressing our ears, comes the sound of devotional chants sung by many voices to the accompaniment of a harmonium and drums. In this pleasing atmosphere where we feast on curry, soup, bread, and Ovaltine, and many sweetmeats. While we eat, a Brahmin cow nonchalantly saunters over us to us, looking for scraps of food, while dozens of small children stand a short distance away, gazing at us curiously. We are told they are fascinated to see white-skinned people dressed in robes of ochre, the color of renunciation. We smile at them, say a few words in Bengali to them, and their faces relax into broad smiles. I look at one small girl holding the hand of a smaller boy and ask, "Bye?" She nods, and soon I hear the children chattering and repeating the word while pointing at me. Bhai, of course, means brother, and they are delighted because they have spoken even a word of their native tongue. Let me go to Ananda Mata's letter here, or observations. Ananda Mata was, of course, Daya Mata's sister. She came into the ashram after Ma, slightly younger than Ma, I think. But they were best of friends their entire life. And Daya Mata was a companion of Ma, and Ananda Mata was a companion of Ma. And as I say, I've never really read anything from her, but here she has a little contribution in these letters from India. This was November 14th, 1958. a Children's Day celebration. An invitation was extended to Daya Mata by some men and an organization for the youth of India to be the guest of honor at the celebration of Children's Day in Calcutta on November 14th, the birthday of Prime Minister Nehru. Toward late afternoon of the 14th, we drove from the Baranagar YSS ashram into Calcutta, dodging in and out amongst 2- and 4-legged creatures and the 2- and 4-wheeled conveyances, each determined to hold his ground, come what may. To see those coming at you from all directions sets one to praying mighty fast and furiously, believe me. Rambo Chan, our driver, just laughs and spiels off something in Hindi. It is quite amusing to hear him shout at other drivers and pedestrians who are in his way. The cars sway back and forth, weaving in and out among the many and varied obstructions, and the passengers must keep rhythm with the swaying, or else. As for the policemen, they are the epitome of kindness to drivers. Why? When one breaks the law, they gently chide the person and send him on his way. Of course, some stringent laws could be applied here with good effect. So through the grace of Divine Mother and Master, we found ourselves at last safely turning down a narrow street. Nearing a large 2-storied structure, the sound of conch shells reached our ears. As the car came to a halt, the founder chairman of the Ashar, Sri Swapanburu, stepped up to the car to greet Daya Mata. She and a party were led to the front courtyard between rows of young girls, each blowing a conch. And she has in parentheses, really puts us at Mount Washington to shame. So they must have been pretty good with the conch. From overhead came blossoms and puffed rice tossed by a group of children on the 2nd floor veranda. Walking into an inner courtyard, again, we were showered from overhead with flowers and rice. What a thrilling sight to see the large courtyard filled with young boys and girls gathered in fellowship on this special day. A group of them, dressed in white uniforms with red and blue trim, were playing band instruments. Children were everywhere, some squatting in the center of the courtyard, others lining the walls of the enclosure, others on the balcony circling the 2nd floor. We were led past bright-eyed, curious children to the far end of the courtyard. Taking off our sandals, we climbed up steps to the platform, where we were directed to a large ashan and asked to be seated. Everywhere we go, eyes open wide with curiosity and interest. We are told it is because we are from the West and we're wearing the Garua cloth. Garua is another, maybe a Hindi term for ochre, wearing the Garua cloth. And here about 2,000 pairs of eyes are upon us. Oh, the sweet, innocent expression of the young. With a little smile on their lips and a slight movement of the head, one is rewarded by a shy flicker of a smile around the child's lips that gradually travels to the eyes, and then the whole face beams. As Daya Mata seated herself, there was a shout of Jai Daya Mata that rose from the lusty throats of the children. Even the birds overhead set up a fluttering sound with their fast-moving wings. Of course, the ever-present photographers were there, including me, and Daya Mata was asked to walk over to the group of children sitting on the ground so a picture could be taken. When she again took her seat on the platform, the musicians began to walk up and down in front of the guests, playing a spry march as they were directed through their paces. Then a group of small girls came forward, carrying in their hands a dish with a burning flame, incense, and little bracelets made with tinsel and cord. One girl stood before Daya Mata, passing the burning flame 3 times in front of her head, again 3 times near the heart, and lastly 3 times at her feet. Another shyly smiling girl tied around Daya Mata's wrist a heart-shaped bracelet to denote the children's love for her. This same rite was performed before each of the guests. Moving among the children again, I had a clear view of the events that followed. I regret the hour of the function was late afternoon, and it soon became too dark to take even fairly good pictures. A long line formed off to the side, boys and girls, each holding a bouquet of flowers or a garland, or a statue or a picture. Daya Mata was led to the center of the platform, and as the director of activities called out a name of a youth group, a little boy or girl, proudly holding his treasure, would walk briskly to the steps, slide feet out of shoes, and ascend the stairway to offer a gift to Daya Mata as a token of their love for his or her group. It is a touching sight to see a tiny girl stretch on tiptoes to place a huge garland of flowers about Daya Ma's neck and then drop to her knees to take the dust of her feet. The child tripped down the stairs, paused to gather up her shoes, and came walking toward the other children with a beam spreading over her face, and her joy was contagious. Next, a boy and a girl hand in hand carrying a little statue of Tagore. As each child walks up shyly to Daya Ma, one sees the effect of her loving self on them, for their shyness is soon replaced by a happy, joyful expression. As each child brings forth his offering, pleasure is depicted on Daya Ma's face over their thoughtful gesture. She is thinking of divine guru, especially at this time. Soon she is laden with garlands about her neck, gifts of flowers, statues, baskets of everlasting flowers, a little carved boat, a vanity case made entirely from buttons, and various drawings are spread on the ground. How talented these youngsters are. The children from the various groups next demonstrate their talents. One young girl of about 12, to the accompaniment of a harmonium and drum, sings sweetly of her love for Divine Mother, her voice quivering with emotion. Two young boys demonstrate their prowess with long bamboo poles, each trying to strike his opponent with the pole, at the same time trying to protect himself from the jab of the opponent's pole. How graceful their movements as they move about. It is growing dusk by now, and the lights in the courtyard have been turned on, and still the function continues. We're told that some of the guardians of the children will become worried, but they continue to sit, waiting for the next event. Sri Swapanburu asked Daya Ma to say a few words to the young people. And this is quoted here. This is Daya Ma's words to them. Beloved children of Calcutta and members of the Sabhachar Ashar, you really cannot imagine the joy I feel today in being one of the honored guests. It really touches my heart, the honor you have shown me and to Yogoda Satsanga Society and to Self-Realization Fellowship. One thing I would say to you all today is that in our travels, we find children to be the same the world over. They love to dance, to play their kites, but you, the children of India, have a special blessing, a heritage, a duty to the ideals which you all should adhere to, Your great leader, Mahatma Gandhi, was loved not only by India, but by the world because of his spiritual ideals. You children of India have tremendous responsibility to this great nation, which is destined in the years to come to be one of the leaders of the world. Do not forget one thing as you grow. Love God. Live by your ancient ideals. Many years ago, one of the great teachers of India, Paramahansa Yogananda, came to America and taught devotees like myself to love God. This thirst for God is what you can give to the world. Thank you for your kindness and the love you have shown me today. As Daya Ma returned to her seat, the children in chorus shouted with fervor, Jai Daya Ma. Groups of children began to form around her, asking for her autograph. Soon we found pencils and notebooks, scraps of paper, pens flying in front of us, and for a time we were kept busy scribbling. It is now quite dark, and the only light is from a large lamp near the platform. But the program is not even ended yet. A group of young dancers appear to portray in one episode from the Ramayana. How gracefully they move about. At one point in the story, a bird is slain, and its little wings flutter, it quivers, and then lies still. It remains in that position until the end of the play, at which time two older boys appear and lift it bodily and carry it out of view. Anywhere else, the child would have just walked off the stage, but not here. It had to be realistic to the very end. And then things do kind of close up a bit. And she said, as we bade our host goodbye and walked out to the car. Oh no, I have to read this. Oh yeah, a little girl, they fed her some food, Daya Mata and the guests. And then they write, Ananda Mata writes, a little girl with such a happy disposition came to sit at our side. And that after the song had been sung, she piped up that she knew how to sing. With a little encouragement, her fingers were soon picking out a tune on the harmonium and her little voice broke into song. She is quite adorable. We told her we would like to take her with us, little realizing the effect of our words. As we bade our hosts goodbye and walked out to the car, she suddenly let out a cry, wanting to accompany us. Though we couldn't understand her Bengali, we could understand her cries. Finally, Daya Mata took from her neck one of the garlands and placed it around the child's neck. And then she was all smiles. As we drove away, the children who had gathered around the car and on the upper veranda shouted a farewell. Thus ended a memorable occasion. What a thrill to see these beautiful children gathered together. One can't help but fall in love with India and these people of Master's country with their beautifully expressive eyes and ready smile. Let's just have a moment of silence and we'll conclude. Om. Peace. Amen. I look forward to seeing some of you. Probably many of you had a work party in a week, and encourage you to continue to keep Master close. Remember, Brother Ananda always used to quote Daya Mata by saying, to those who think him near, he will be near. So that should be in the back of our mind as we go through these, whatever tests and trials we may be going through, keep Master close. And it's a joy to see you all and to meet with you on these monthly meetings, but hopefully we'll get back more to normal sometime soon. So Jai Guru, take care. Master blesses.